Yeah, that wall just has too much stuff on it.
Duh. I look like a pack rat.
What's your vision?
Okay, so that's the piano, right?
Mm-hmm. What you need to paint.
I'll figure out how to paint it.
Okay.
My idea is to just have like a giant clock and then something on each side.
Okay.
I think I found these windows, if you're okay with it. We can either have kind of look something like that or kind of crossed. I want them
vintage
to,
old style windows
yeah,
and counterbalance our white kitchen we got.
totally.
Okay.
And then I'm thinking about just doing kind of like a wreath in the middle.
Okay.
Nice green florally,
Simple.
right?
Okay.
So I got some extra wood planking. I did a shiplap wall in my master bedroom and bathroom, and I had a couple of pieces left over. So I got all of the wood planking and laid it all out. Luckily, most of them were the same length. I only had a couple of odd pieces at the top and at the bottom. Here I am using some wood glue. Any wood glue works, really. And then I'm just going ahead and I'm putting them together like the shiplap pieces do. And I do this over and over again. If you're going to be a DIYer, I would definitely suggest having a few things, and having either liquid nails or wood glue is definitely one of them. So after I got them all glued together, I did some measuring to figure out how big of a clock I could make with just the shiplap that I had left over. This is literally all I have left. So I decided to find the middle point in the shiplap, draw necks, always measure twice and cut once is what my dad taught me, and I really think that that is the best advice he could have given me. So I went ahead and I found the center, and then I used a hammer and a nail and I put it in the dead center. From here, I got some string. I always carry string in my house. I have kids, and I went on Pinterest and I found a lot of cool games that you can do during rainy days. So that's why I have string. If you put the string around a pencil and around the nail, you can draw a perfect circle. So I just got one of my son's pencils and drew a nice big circle all the way around my wood plankings. It's actually not as easy as I thought it would be, but I was able to get a perfect circle. So after you get your circle, I realized that I needed some reinforcement on the back before I actually cut the circle. Although the shiplap planks are glued together, it's not as sturdy as I would like it. So I decided to take a couple of extra pieces of, I think that these are 1/2 inch by 2 inch pieces. I used them for framing my shiplap wall. I went ahead and cut them 12 inches in length and then cut 45s at the end. And I nail gun them, obviously using wood glue, and then nail gun them together. I put it on the back of the shiplap, and I used the nail gun to make sure that it secured all the pieces in place, so that when I did this part, using the jigsaw and cutting it in a perfect circle, that the pieces wouldn't fall apart. Yes, my husband is using a Ryobi leaf blower to blow all the dust from the jigsaw out of the way. So after I cut it, you can see here on the back, I used a couple extra pieces to support it. I really didn't want this clock falling apart. I got some old hooks that I actually had from another piece of art that I had hanging in my house that I no longer needed. And I just hung them up nice and evenly as best I could on the back on the supports. All right, here's another thing that all DIYers need to have. At least 1 can of white paint and 1 can of black paint, because you never know when you're gonna need some paint for a project. If you're like me, I randomly do DIY projects. Whenever I get, most of the time it's after I do a nice long run, I come home with some really good ideas and I try to see what I have in my garage. Always need some white paint and black paint. So I went ahead and did 2 coats, and then it was ready to go. So I wanted to make a Roman numeral clock, and I wanted it to look antiqued. So again, I put the nail back in the middle of the center, and I drew a smaller circle on the inside. This is going to be my guide for all my numbers as I go around because I wanted to make sure that they were even. Yes, I had to look up how the Roman numerals looked on the clock because I didn't want it to look silly. So I went ahead and hand painted. No, I didn't use a stencil. And if you need to use a stencil, it'd probably be a lot easier than just trying to freehand it. But I figured I had some time to kill and it was raining today, so I went ahead and freehanded all the Roman numerals. So, going back, while this takes a while, it's like watching paint dry, doing all the Roman numerals. But DIYers, I would definitely invest in any Ryobi tool. No, I am not sponsored by them, but yes, I highly suggest them. They're super easy tools, and they always come in handy whenever you feel like doing an art project or a DIY project or whatever you need. I have almost all of their tools. They're super easy to use, even for people who aren't as advanced in using power tools. I also like that they're all cordless, which makes it super convenient. I used to, instead of having the Ryobi nail gun, I had a huge air compressor and a nail gun. That was the most inconvenient thing ever. As soon as I got my Ryobi nail gun, it was a game changer. It's super simple. Just take the battery off the charger, clip it into the bottom, and you're ready to go, no matter what project you want to do. It's so much easier going cordless. All right, so I did start off doing the 12, 3, 6, and 9 because it was easier. Because, like I said, I freehanded all this. So then, of course, my Ryobi drill, I drilled a perfect hole in the center, which I already had that center spot cut out from the nail. And then here is my clock mechanism. So, my wood was a little too thick, and the mechanism didn't fit all the way through. So I just had to take a little wood chisel. Again, another good tool that a DIYer should have. Here's what the mechanism looked like. I got it from Amazon, super cheap, and it actually turned out really nice. I read the instructions because I'm not proficient at any clocks, but it was super simple to put on. So once I got it on, I just had to read the directions, put a battery in it, and it started ticking. So now came the challenging part, putting the clock on the wall. So I found these 2 glass windows from a nice lady on OfferUp. She sold them to me, the pair, for $60. Not sure if that's a good deal or not, but they're genuine antique windows, and I left them as they were in their condition. They're kind of old, the paint's chipping, but I kind of like that look, so I stuck with it. Of course, measure twice, cut once. I found where I needed to drill my nice little holes. Make sure when you're doing this, my clock is kind of heavy. Make sure that whenever you do this that you have at least 1 screw in the stud. I would suggest both. Also, get yourself a stud finder. I think altogether this project turned out decently. Thanks for watching.